Welcome everybody to Nine's Corner. I'm Nina, and we're about to start our second lesson in our tarot journey. We had first met the Fool at the beginning of his journey, and within him, he has the potential that is given to each soul that has a physical experience in this life, represented by the number 1, the beginning, that spark of inspiration, that which is just about to be manifested. When you first picture the magician, I'm sure you can imagine a witch or a wizard or a shaman, a healer. And these are pretty powerful people, and so is the magician. This is someone with great power and ability. Whether or not they're aware of it, or whether or not they use it for the positive or for the negative, that is to be looked into. The magician balances out the 4 elements of life seen on the table. Our lives need balance to have power and to have consistency. That means we have to bring together the balance of the mind through the swords, our passion through wands, our understanding of emotions and lessons of the heart through the cups, and pentacles represent our health and the fortune we have in life. With balancing all these elements, you are able to manifest. That's the big secret to manifesting, and that's why it's so hard, because you have to balance out the mental, physical, emotional, spiritual to focus in on what you want. Is it interesting that sometimes in life things come to you and you give them no thought at all, and then other things you think about and it gets further and further away from you because you're letting all the noise and pollution of life take you away from that steadfast focus. And oftentimes around the magician, you're going to hear the phrase, as within, as without, as above, so below. But, what does that really mean? The magician is often considered the messenger of God, the God within, that spark that everybody has. And what we think about as above is what we manifest in our real life, in our real physical world, as below. As within, how you feel and think about yourself and your life, as without. That's what you're going to manifest. That's what you're going to see around you. Taking that and looking at the big picture, you can see how each one of us together, collectively, whether it be in your community, your country, or in this world, we collectively manifest what we're seeing around us. But that's a beautiful thing, because that also means that we collectively can manifest something different than what is. There's always hope. There's always room for change. And the magician is the perfect one to start that change. In a reading, the magician represents energy, using your unique gifts to create your reality. This is done with full force of will and manipulating things to create your desires. Understanding the connection between your energy and that of the universe, you can now use that energy to manifest beyond what you physically see in your reality. You want to accomplish in this life, we're looking for that miracle, but the miracle is truly within each and every one of us. We look for the meaning of God and for what life is about, and we look outside of ourselves to people and things that are not in control of what is truly us. You have to turn inward and look at the gifts that you have inside of you. You have the ability to visualize inside of your internal world, regardless of what the rest of your world looks like. You can visualize what you want, and your physical world will change to accompany what your thinking and your focus is about. I've often said about my teenage crush, Tina Turner. If you know anything about her, here's a singer who was with Ike Turner, her husband. He was abusive. They had an awful time of it, and she didn't think she could leave. They had children. It was just, a story as long as life has been. And she turned to Buddhism. She turned to chanting. She turned to meditation. She was able to become the magician in her life, to focus in on herself. And through doing that, she was able to picture the life that she wanted. It didn't matter if Ike was over here going crazy on drugs. It didn't matter if everything in her life was falling apart. She focused and didn't let anything get in her way of her focus, of her chanting. And then because she had this inner visualization of what she wanted, her physical world changed around her. Ike left the situation. She had her comeback. That is the magician, and the magician can be in each and every one of us. So now we're starting to realize the real magic of the magician and think of some of the magicians that we have in common, from Steven Spielberg to Barack Obama, from Oprah Winfrey to Barbara Walters. And, like even currently, you think about Dr. Fauci. The magician is somebody who has a godlike complex, and you want your doctors to have a godlike complex. You don't want doctors that don't believe in the magic that they can produce. So doctors, healers, people who have a huge responsibility, that's the magicians, and they're everywhere. So when it comes to love, you might not be expecting it, but someone is going to show up and start a love connection. If you were hoping to rekindle that old love, if the magician shows up, it just might happen. In a relationship, be forewarned, the magician is the one that likes to be in control, and he likes to get things his own way, which is neither good nor bad, just depends on the magician. When you have a friendship with the magician, they are of great benefit to you. They're great counsel and advice, unless they are not a fan of you, and then they like to dabble in the dark side. So you have to be careful. You have to watch them. When it comes to money and career, you'll do well. Focus, hard work, willing into existence. The benefit you receive will be equal to the work and focus that you put into it. Physically, the magician deals with a lot of stress and tension. Could have issues with balancing meds and getting to the actual cause of a medical problem. In the past, you've worked hard to accomplish what you set out to do. Willpower and focus builds a strong foundation for the future. Presently, now is the time to put your plans into action. Remind yourself to keep balance, because through balance you will achieve. When it comes to the future, dreams are there for the taking. Are you open to being the star in your own play? Do you dare? As long as you're living your life, being true to you and your talents. Otherwise, things will go awry. Things will not go the way you wanted it, because you will not be in focus. And this throws you off your path. And, if you look at somebody who's a magician, a genius, like Michael Jackson, he's a magician. He was able to touch people's souls through music. Unfortunately, he did not have balance of all the elements, and he did not build a strong foundation in which to go forward in his life. And as you can see, his life did not go the way I'm sure he would have liked to have. As an outcome, the magician tells you the result depends on you, your intention, your desire, your will and focus. In balance, things will go well. Out of balance, you'll get what you get. So what clues can we pick up on the card intuitively when we flip it over? So when we flip it over, what's the first thing you see? If you notice this infinity sign, this figure 8 on top, this can oftentimes be a roller coaster. You're either working in the positive or you're working in the dark. If I notice the snake around here, I always think of a dog chasing his tail. So you might have the ability, you just don't have the focus to get it done. If you notice his arms and the directions of going up and down, well, then that's saying, hey, you need to start thinking about it internally to manifest it externally. So that's really about becoming the magician. If you notice the red, you're going to see the passion in it. If you notice the yellow, you're going to see the brightness and the positivity of the magician. And if you take notice and say, if you're wondering what path or what is the magician's special gifts, if you flip it over and you notice one of the elements, whether the sword, the cup, the pentacle, or the wand in his hand is the one that you notice, then you can take from that what his lessons or what his focus will be on. So if we're looking at the pentacles, then it's going to be on his health and on the physical things he wants to manifest. If it's on the cups, then he has some work to do emotionally. If it's to deal with the swords, then he's working with something on an intellectual level. And when it comes to the wand, This is about the passion, but it's also the reminder, don't forget, about our unity with the universe, our energy flow with the universe. And as we think it, it will become. When I feel the magician around me, I love to listen to Heart's Magic Man or Mr. Sandman, Bring Me a Dream. I like to listen to You Can Do Magic. And my very favorite is Nina Simone's I Put a Spell on You. I mean, the magician is just fantastic. And this is when the fool realizes he has all these gifts. So what about those times when you get that gut feeling that something's off and you know it's going against the facts, but something inside of you is telling you there's something not right. And then the very time that you don't listen is the time that you're saying, I knew something was off, but I did it anyway. Here we're going to get introduced to the High Priestess, and we will meet her in our next video. So until then, my dear sweet souls, we have our unity candle lit for each and every one of us. And until the next time we speak, cheerio. Take care.